Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz Interview Series with Louisville, Kentucky-based jazz organist Kendall Carter. We caught up with this up-and-coming cat about his 2021 CD, Introducing Kendall Carter. He began playing the piano at 4 and was drawn to the organ by the age of 13. His playing is rooted in the gospel music tradition, but also draws influence from notable organists like Jimmy McGriff, Charles Earland, and Shirley Scott. Veteran Guitar Cat Dave Stryker was a huge influence on him, and he explains. As an educator, he provides private lessons, masterclasses, and can be seen every summer on faculty at the Jamey Aebersold Summer Jazz Workshop. He's got a bright future in jazz. Enjoy the story.
Hey, thanks for taking a minute out.
Man, no problem. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I dig your groove, man. I've really enjoyed the album. You know, I've been interviewing a lot of people lately that have had debut albums that have come out, and there's all these adventurous titles, but there's something that I like about the simplicity of just introducing.
Absolutely. That's the only way to do it. Yeah, absolutely.
You're just getting to the core of everything. So talk to me about what it feels like before we actually get to the artistic side of this album. It's coming up during a global pandemic. Talk to me a little bit about how that feels.
Well, we literally finished recording maybe a couple days before everything went on lockdown. That was like, we were happy that got done. And Stryker was able to make it back to Jersey. And Kenny's from Indianapolis, around the area that we were recording. So, but other than that, you know, we're just looking to infuse some good music into turbulent times. And music is definitely one of the key elements to keep people inspired and uplifted.
So talk to me a little bit about what you were going for with this album. Like, ultimately, when somebody downloads this and purchases this, there's so many options. When they make that commitment, how do you want them to feel about what you put out?
I want them simply to enjoy the groove. Organ music, organ trio music is just about, to me, I won't say it's solely about this, but one of the key elements is about keeping the groove locked to the point that whether you're driving, sitting down, wherever you may be listening to the record, you can't help but either pat your foot, tap your leg, rock your neck back and forth, and something like that. You ought to feel the groove, and the groove ought to keep you, put a smile on your face.
Well, I know it does that for me. My moments of refreshment with jazz is when I'm driving and I can put it in and just watch the world go by. And man, the organ gets right to the jugular fast. So,
absolutely.
So I don't speak to a lot of cats from Kentucky, and I'm curious, what were your roots? What was your childhood like? How did jazz become life?
Man, so root-wise, I am deeply rooted in the church tradition, gospel music. We step back from that before I get into that. I started playing as early as about 4 or 5 years old. Started taking lessons around that time too. They weren't either strictly classical or strictly jazz kind of lessons. They were just, you know, beginner piano lessons, teaching fundamentals and things of the sorts. And then, you know, as I came on down through school, I was slightly introduced to jazz around fifth grade, but it was more of the fusion stuff, a lot of the Herbie Hancock Headhunters stuff we were playing. And then when I got into high school, around about my senior year in high school, there were some cats in the jazz band who had a combo, and they'd asked me first to join the jazz band to come play piano in the jazz band, so I did. And then they were like, oh, we got a combo together, so why don't you come play in the combo, which I did. Coincidentally, in that combo, there was no bass player. It was purely keys, drums, tenor saxophone, and trombone. And so I always had a fascination with walking bass lines and of that sort. So here I was back in a situation again, walking bass lines for a quartet. And then, you know what, I went the scholastic route, went to college and did 2 degrees in jazz, one in performance and the other one in composition and arranging. And actually, it was here in Louisville, Kentucky, how I met Dave Stryker. People know about the Jamey Aebersold Summer Jazz Workshops. Dave has been coming here teaching at those workshops for a while, and so some cats here in town knew him and had a gig booked with him, and I was playing organ on that gig with him, met Dave, and we built a relationship from there. Here we are now to playing Introducing Kendall Carter.
What was the first live jazz show you saw that made you think that's where I want to be?
Man, the first live jazz show, I gotta think. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember, and partially that's just because I'm playing a bunch and I'm in church a bunch, so I got a million things on my mind that I'm seeing. I'll say this: it wasn't necessarily a performance that I got a live show, but I do remember watching some as I was really getting into jazz, watching some clips of Oscar Peterson play, and man, that really inspired me and scared me at the same time. But that really motivated me to stick with the music.
You had some good teachers. Talk to me a little bit about some advice and some lessons that you learned from teachers and mentors that have kind of resonated with you up to this point.
Yeah, advice, I've heard one cat say, keep the main thing, whatever your main thing is. If it's pursuing a career, stay focused on that and don't let anything sidetrack you from accomplishing whatever it is that you want to accomplish. That, and I kind of think back to, I had a lesson one time with Stryker's organist, Jazz Gold, and I was still kind of in between playing piano a lot and really getting in and wanting to be called more to play organ. And Jarrett was just like, Cat, just drop playing piano and just only play organ. Don't do anything else. So, I mean, I took that advice and was just like, all right, I'm not playing any more piano gigs. If I can't play organ on the gig, I just won't play the gig. And here we are later, 5, 6 years later, playing predominantly organ gigs.
Right on. What do you like the most about being a professional musician? When you wake up every day knowing you get to create and live this life, what is it that excites you the most?
I just love playing my instrument. I get a joy out of just, whether I'm practicing or just sitting down to play, I enjoy and get a thrill just being behind my instrument. And that's literally actually for both organ and piano. I mean, I love just sitting down and playing just for the fun of it.
The one thing that we've all been living through that's been kind of the backbone of what we're living through with music and everything since it's been silent for so long is this COVID thing. And it's been a period of self-reflection for not only individuals but for genres like jazz. So my question to you is, what have you learned about yourself over this time that maybe you didn't realize before? And how do you think jazz is going to emerge stronger after this?
Man, to answer your first question, what did I learn about myself? I learned that I need to take breaks.
Yeah.
I think I guess I was just kind of caught up in always being busy that I never thought about how much you need to take time for yourself, really, just so you can refocus, so you can practice, so you can just get things together. I'm not one to really take a lot of breaks. I prefer to maintain a busy schedule, and that's not with just music, but that's with all of my endeavors, with my work in church, with my own personal affairs. I try to stay as busy as possible. I don't really take too many off days, but COVID has really made me rethink that and appreciate the off days that you can recalibrate, realign yourself.
And the second question, I guess, is about the entire jazz world. There's been so much adaptation to, virtual and technology, and just things have changed. I think sounds have changed. How do you believe the world of jazz is going to emerge stronger, even from a label perspective? I mean, there was Bandcamp Fridays. There was things that I think were good to kind of maybe give a little bit more money to the world of jazz. What do you see as being strengths or things that are going to emerge stronger about the world of jazz?
Man, well, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is we've learned how to be creative and keep ourselves existent and in the conversation. And as you were mentioning, like Bandcamp Fridays, things like that, there are now these other avenues that maybe weren't given as much attention, especially from a independent artist standpoint, there's that thing in the back of your mind that says, you know, you want to get signed to a label. What if you never do get signed to a label? What are you going to do? How are you going to keep yourself afloat? How are you going to keep yourself relevant? And I think the pandemic has kind of taught us and given us tools on ways to do that. And the same for the music as a whole. Music's not going to go anywhere. It's always going to be relevant. I don't think we're ever going to go back to the time of silent film. Somebody is going to score some music somewhere, somehow, for film or TV. So it's reaching in the toolkit and reaching for a new tool that you haven't used before to keep things exciting and fresh and new.
So we happen to be talking today on International Jazz Day. What's that mean for you to, you know, kind of emerge from last year and be at this point where we can say, you know what, we're going to look at jazz and we're going to look at it hard?
In one sense, it's a liberating thing. It's the freedom of expression. It's just a reminder. It's a reminder to me, you know, to continue to be who you are and put out the best representation of who you are, especially as it pertains to the music. I was telling someone the other day, you know, recording and things like that, sometimes it's just, in one way, the means of documenting your growth and the way you've evolved as a musician. And so, you know, here we are celebrating the evolution of the music on International Jazz Day. We've gone from what some would call trad jazz to bebop to hard bop. We've got all these labels just to point out that the music has evolved. So the music's going to keep evolving. So we celebrate that.
When we do return to music, live music, in some level of earnest, what do you hope we all realize about the power of live music, both musician and audience, when we get back to it?
I hope from an audience perspective, they will appreciate the time and effort and the monies and the energy that has gone into just creating this music, arranging this music. I think for some, they put in work scholastically, you know, to get where they are, to create the music that they create. So I hope there will be a greater appreciation for it. And I hope on the musician side that we don't give up on the drive. We keep pushing even harder to create more music, new music. And, you know, hopefully we'll continue to try some different combinations of things, you know, instrumentally speaking, melding of genres and things of the sorts.
Everyone has a perception of who they think you are, your family, your friends, your fans, but ultimately you're living your life and you're leading it. Who do you think you are?
Who do I think I am, man? That's a tough question. But I say that I'm a hard worker who is realizing that even though don't work too hard while you're yet trying to pursue just the dreams and goals that I have. So I'm just a hard worker trying not to work too hard while still staying consistent amongst friends and family.
I dig it, man. Hey, Kendall, thank you for taking some time out. Good luck with the album and the return to the stage.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in Louisville, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Kendall for his time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.